morning, one and all. Today we are going to start with the new topic, that is software measurement. And this is the last topic of your course syllabus. You can see this is the last topic of your module 5. So before going inside to the software measurement, first we should understand what you mean by measurement. Okay, so why we want this measurement term inside our softwares. So what do you mean by measurement? Everybody knows that measurement in the sense where this measurement is based on your size, or if you want to find out the quantity, or if you want to find out the amount or dimension of some particular product, then you are going to use this measurement term, right? So where it will drive you towards some of the numeric value of your software product. That is the reason this software measurement is known as your technique, where you are going to find out, or where you are going to derive the attribute of any of these software components. So that is the meaning of your software measurement. You are going to find out, you are going to derive, you are going to find out some of the numeric values towards your software product. So that is the meaning of your software measurement. And also we know that the software measurement will give some of the values towards the characteristics of any of the software product whenever we will be in the software process. Okay, so what it is giving again, it will give you the characteristics of a software product. So now the 2 points already you got. One is that it is going the software measurement where you are going to find out for a particular size, quantity, amount or dimensions of some of the software products, and also you are going to derive the numerical values of any of the attributes of a software products whenever it will be in your process. That is one thing. Second point, you are going to find out that it will be a characteristics. It is going to find out the characteristics of a software product. Fine. So these two are the major points inside your software measurement. And also it will have an authority, okay, inside your software engineering process. Why? Because it will follow the rules and regulations of ISO standard. You know already the ISO standard like rules and regulations, so it's going to follow. Okay, so all the rules will be based on your ISO standards. So now the next thing will be, suppose some of the companies will be there, those who have introduced towards the measurement programs, and some of the organizations will be there, those who are not very systematic towards your software measurement. Then what will happen? Why we want the software measurement? Okay, so that is the first thing we should know. So if we have the software measurement, then we can create the quality of any of the products, or you can say any of the software process. Fine. So to find out the quality of the product, we should have the software measurement cycle. And also one more thing is there, like suppose you don't know what will be the quality in of a product in the future, so that you can anticipate inside this software measurement. And also you can enhance the quality of a product, and you can regulate all the state of the project which has been related towards your budget and your schedule of your programs or schedule of your project. So if you have this kind of measurements, then it will be easy to get the quality of a software. Otherwise, if some of the organizations are not following the software quality, then definitely it will be a loss for the organization, because they have not followed the proper software measurement and they are not the very systematic in use. So that time, these few like this kind of things and all, they are very particular in their areas, and they used to follow the ISO standard rules and regulations. So this is all about your software measurement. So now we will just go towards your software matrices. What do you mean by matrices? This is a type of measurement. Okay, This is a type of measurement where it is going to be related with your software system, the documentations, and the software process. So these all are the points you need to remember. So here another thing also is there, like a example, if you have a program of lines of code, then definitely that is known as your software process. So that software process is known as, also we can call it as your software matrices. So these software matrices will have the control on the software matrices, and also it will have the control or hold of predictor matrices. How it is going to have? Because if these software metrics are the type of measurement, then definitely it's working inside your software system. As it is working inside the software system, it can predict that how much of matrices is needed, what will be the characteristics of the software, how these matrices are helpful for your process management, all these things. And this control part of your matrices, that is known as your process matrices. And if we are predicting some matrices, that is known as your product matrices. So we have two terms here. One is your process matrices, one more is your product matrices. Process matrices is having the is known as your control matrices, and product matrix known as your predictor matrix. So these are two terms which we have to remember for this software matrix. Now here you can see the types of process matrix. So what are the types of process matrix? There is one is there, the time taken for a particular process to be completed. It means that when a process starts working, from that time to till the work gets over, so the total time taken to start to till your end, so the calculation part is also one kind of your process matrix. Okay, because it is going to have the control in between your starting to end. So this can be like your process, can be your calendar time, or can be any of the time spent on process by any particular engineers and all. So this is one type of your process metrics. Another type of your process metric is the resources required for a particular process. So how many resources you want to finish up a single particular work, so that depends on the particular process. So that time we can measure all these things or total effort by your resource in the term of your person days. So traveling cost or the computer resource computational efforts and all are going to be calculated in terms of your person and days. So one is like type is like time, one more type is like resources. Now the next one is the number of occurrence of a particular event, how many times the particular event is occurring. So that particular event can be monitored by by any of the coder, like you can say those who are doing the code inspections, or it can be like how many times the requirement has been changed due to the customers, or it can be like how many times the bug reports has been delivered to change. So or otherwise it can be your average number of lines of code, how many times you have been modified. So everything, each of the particular event is will be called as your number of occurrence for a particular event. So this is also one type of your process metrics. Now here you can see the diagram in between your predictor and the control measurements. In the sense, predictor measurement we known as it is your product metrics, and control measurement we known as it your process metrics. So now here you can see we have the software process are developing towards the software products, and software process will have the control over the control metric measurements, so that is known as your process metrics. And on your software products we will have the predictor metrics measurement, so that is known as your product metrics, and both will go towards your management decision. Once the decision is done, then again the process has to start. So this is the link in between your product predictor and control measurements. Now how we are going to use this measurement? Okay, we have many variety of ways to use the measurements. Already we know that what is the need of measurements. So now we are just going to find out what will be the use of our measurements and where we are going to use this measurement. The first thing is this kind of measurement has been classified into two categories. So one is your direct measurement, one will be your indirect measurement. So now what you are going to do in your direct measurement? Here you will have the product or the software process, and everything are going to measured directly by using the standard scale method. But in your indirect measurement, the quantity or quality, whatever you want to measure, it has to be measured by use of reference method. So we have two kinds of methods. One will be your standard scale method, another one will be your use of reference method. So where indirectly by using some related parameters, we are going to measure the quantity or quality of any of the software product. So that kind of two measurements are classified, and by using that two methods, we have derived the use of measurements. So in this use of measurements, we have variety of ways. Okay, so here we are going to consider only two ways. So where is the first one will be like for assigning the value to quality attributes. So what we are going to do here? Here we have to measure the characteristic of system components, like what will be the performance of the system, what will be the bandwidth, how much bandwidth has been provided to the system, what will be the complexity, what will be the quality attributes, how we are going to maintain it, how we are going to give the security to it. So all these things we are going to measure. How we are going to measure? That time we have to assign or we have to give some of the values directly to the quality attribute. That is the reason this is known as your directly measurement. So here by giving the directly some quality attribute, we can assign some values towards your system. Now the next one is your identify the system component whose quality is substandard. So here what you are going to do? So here we have to find out through the individual component, okay, where they will have the characteristics as per the norm or they can deviate from the norm. And some examples if you want to give. So here if you are going to measure some of the components which is having the highest complexity value, then definitely it will have the highest bugs. So if the highest bugs are there, then definitely it will be very hard to understand the code and it will be very hard to implement. So that time what we can do is we have to provide the substandard method. That is also known as your indirect way of measurement. So in these two way, we are going to use our measurements. Now here you can see the next one, that is your metrics assumptions. So how you are going to assume, giving the assumptions towards your matrices. As I told you before, the matrices are nothing but it is a kind of your measurement where you are going to give or where you are going to give some input values where the measurement can be calculated accurately. So here we have to build up the relationship in between the measurement, whatever we want to measure or we can measure, and then what we want to know. So it is going to apply the relationship in between these two attributes. And also if we have the internal attributes and if they are interested for your external attributes, that time we have to assume the values, the input value and the output values, and we have to act accordingly. Okay, so these all are the relationships which has been formalized and which has been validated in between these two. And also sometimes it will be very difficult to relate how it has to be measured if you have added any external quality attributes. It will be very difficult that time to find out like how to measure it. So this is all about your metrics assumptions. Now here you can see this is a diagram in between your internal and external software. So before going to the internal and external software, let me clarify you about the external attributes. So what we are going to do in external attributes, these attributes can be seen by the user only, okay, and also by the developer, because this is the external attributes, and it will have some of the characteristics of qualitative softwares, like it will have the quality like maintainability, reliability, understandability, usability. Okay, so the same thing has been written over here this side, external quality attributes. So these all are the attributes which can be viewed by the user or by the developers. And also this quality attributes can be affected by some other factors which cannot be measured directly, that we have to remember. That is the reason this is known as your external quality attributes. Now, what do you mean by internal quality attributes? So now these all are the attributes where we can measure it very directly, because it will have the size of software in terms of your lines of code, or you can say it will have the total number of procedures or modules whatever has been given, or some parameters, everything has been given. So there will be a very normal like relationship exist in between your external quality and internal attributes, where these internal attributes will have the depth of inheritance tree, complexity, the lines of code which depends upon the program size, which will have some of the number of error message, or the length of user manual whatever has been given from your ISO standards. So the relationship how we are going to maintain, if you want to go for the maintainability, you have to go through all these things like depth, you can go for the complexity, you can go for the program size. Similarly, all these things are interrelated in between. So this is all about your relationships. Now, what all are the problems occurs with the measurement in industry? So, what all are the problems happens? So here we know that this kind of it will be very impossible that if you want to quantify, or if you want to find out that how much of investment has been done for organizations to find out the metrics program, so that is very difficult to find out or to introduce. So there will be no standard software metrics which has been standardized, that how to analyze it. So that is also a difficult task for the industry to find out the measurements. In many companies, there will be a software process which are not been standardized, and it will be very poorly maintained and controlled by the project managers or team members. So that time, if the software process is not standardized, then how to measure the software products and all, that also quite difficult. So sometimes, and also we are very curiosity about the code, lines of code, how much of code has been given, how we are what will be the plan driven process. So if any of these of industry will not be focusing on this kind of things, then definitely it will be very difficult to maintain or to configure all the ERP systems. Okay, so there will be a more overhead on these processes. So these kind of problems used to occur by using this with this kind of your measurements. So now the next topic comes like your empirical software engineering. So what we are going to do with this empirical software engineering? Here we have some of the measurement and matrices which are based on the empirical software measuring or engineering. So what we are going to do is we will have one kind of your research area where we have to do the software products. Okay, so we have to experiment on our software system, that how we are going to collect the data from, if we can collect the data from the real world projects, then it will be very nice. And how we are going to maintain it, how we are going to validate, and how we are going to apply the hypothesis formulas to find out the exact assumptions whatever we have done, to find out the exact outputs or from the sampling values. And by using some of the methods, algorithms and techniques, we can get the like exact input to exact output. That will be our assumptions. Based on our assumptions, we can find out the software products. So this kind of research will not be in practice in your software engineering, but it will have the significant impact on your software products. So it will be very difficult if I will relate the generic research process towards the project, because generic research will be like just to have a study, but the project will have the implementation part, the experimentation part, which will be not that much of related to your research. You can have the idea, but how to implement is will be a difficult task. So that's the reason these software measurement and matrices are based on your empirical software engineering. Now the next topic comes your product matrices. So now already we know the matrices, the terms and all. So this is one more topic on your product matrices, where we will have some functions, or where we will have some of the types where it based on your characteristics of any of the products. So here you can have this product matrix based on your product quality, which one will be a predictor again. So we have some classes of product metric. The first classes will be dynamic matrices, which are collected by measurements made of a program in execution. It means that when we have executed any of the programs, from that we have collected some of the data and all. So that is based on your dynamic matrices. What will be your static matrices? On your system representations, we have, if you have collected any of the data, that is going to be prescribed towards your static matrices. And comparing to static matrices, the dynamic matrices will be very efficient and reliable, but the static matrices will help you like for the complexity, for the understandability purpose, or for the maintainability purpose. That's the reason we have two classes of product matrices, that is dynamic matrices and the static matrices. So whatever we understood, like dynamic matrices has to be collected during your program execution time only. Okay, and how much time is required for any of the function to execute or to calculate, everything will be done by your dynamic matrices. And also it will calculate your reliability and efficiency of a program, and also it will have a very direct relationship with your quality attribute. So that is a reason this is related towards your software efficiency. What is happening in your static matrix? This is collected during your design time, coding time, or in you can say that documentation phase. And this one will helpful for you by to access any of your complexity, understandability and maintainability process of a software system. And it will have the indirect relationship with the quality attributes. So this is the two classes of product matrices. Okay, so whatever I have told, the same thing has been written here. The dynamic matrices are very closely related towards your software quality attributes, because it is a direct connectivity, direct relationship. But in your static, it is a indirect relationship with your quality attributes. So here you need to try and derive the relationship in between the matrices and the properties of any of the softwares. Now here we have some of the various static product matrices. What all are the software matrices? We have it. The first one is like fan in and fan out. So what is happening in fan in and fan out? If you have the high value of fan in, it means that your function is tightly coupled with the rest of the system design. So if you want to make any changes inside your system design, then directly it will affect your called function. Okay, so if I will write that fan out, it means that if you have any calling function, then it will be very complex and it has to control over your logic whatever you have written. So that is the difference in between fan in and fan out. The next one is length of code. So what is the meaning of your length of code? So this is nothing but this component, it has to denote that what will be the size of a program. Okay, length of a code means it has to derive the size of a software component. Suppose if you have large number of lines of code, then definitely your software component will be very complex and it will be a error prone. So that is the reason the length of the code always will represent towards the reliability of the code. Okay, so this is two types here. Next we have some other types also. Next one is cyclomatic complexity. What is happening here? It represents the control over your complexity of the program. Okay, so it is related towards your program understandability. The next one is your length of identifiers. In length of identifiers, it has to identify the length of your identifier which is already present inside the program. And also if it is long, then it will indicate that the identifier name is very meaningful. And if the identifier name is meaningful, then it will enhance your understandability of the program or of the code. The next one is your depth of conditional nesting. So here what happens is, if you are going to represent how deep is your nested if statement is, then that time your program becomes very hard to understand, because how many nested if conditions you will use, if the program code will be very difficult to understand, and again it becomes the error prone. So that is the meaning of your depth of conditional nesting. Okay. So the last one is your fog index. So here it has to represent the total number of words or sentences, how much you have used inside the software document. If the fog index will be high, then it means that your document is very lengthy and hard to understand. So this is all about your static software product metrics. So with this, your software like a measurement and matrices gets over. So I hope you will have some of the questions in the terms some 6 or 5 marks of question, like explain briefly the process of product measurement, or what all are the stages are there in your like matrices methods and all the classes of matrices. So that kind of questions you may get in your exam. I hope you have understood. Thank you.